All right, good, good. Hope everybody that is on the call can hear us and see us this morning. I'm Mike Nunn. I'm the Director of Planning and Transportation. We put this Zoom together to hopefully reach out and give you a little bit easier way to connect with us on this Smartgov situation. We want to get your feedback and get your comments. As most of you know, SmartGov is the city's portal for online permit development submittals. It allows you to submit things digitally. It also allows staff to review the information digitally and also process that more efficiently. It went live July of 2020, if you recall, back in the summer of 2020. And to date, we've processed just over 10,000, almost 11,000 permits and development plans between both planning department and the inspections department. So that includes, your development process, TRC plans, technical review committee plans, as well as the trade permits. So that's just over 10,000 of those. We've been adjusting SmartGov since July 2020. As many of you know and have seen, we continue to make those improvements based on user feedback. It is for those, the development community that uses it. The session today is just another method for us to share what we know, what we've learned, to give you some education and just be a direct outreach to users to get your input. You can get to know us a little better, see us and know who we are. We're always available. As you heard earlier, we are recording this and we're going to post it to the city's website. That way you can refer back to it or share with other members of your staff that maybe couldn't make it this morning. But it'll also just be a good resource to go back and step through the SmartGov demonstration. As you will see, there's many resources also on the city's website. If you haven't been there recently, I invite you to check that out. Go to the planning landing page from the city's website. You'll see a lot of information about SmartGov and really a lot of information about the development process overall. Probably be some things there that you may know or be aware of, but can confirm and understand how the process works. And you're always welcome, as many of you do, to call us directly. We'll be glad to meet with you one-on-one, in person, virtually, on the phone at any time when you have any questions at all. So with that, I just want to jump in and let you make good use of our hour. I want to introduce the staff that's going to be specifically presenting this morning. Andrew Shore is our GIS administrator. He's been the point person for a SmartGov implementation and continues to help with all of our technical questions and those things on a daily basis. I think many of you too have had contact with him, asking some specific questions. He's going to really talk you through a demonstration and answer questions about, from one page to the next of how your account operates and what happens when you submit information through SmartGov. Jamie Lawson is our principal planner. She's also our TRC, Technical Review Committee coordinator. Jamie's also likely worked with many of you already on our pre-application conference, which we call PAC or a PAC, as well as the TRC process, which is the Technical Review Committee, that's all city staff reviewing your development plans. She's going to provide some related comments as Andrew goes through the process and the demonstration on some frequent PAC and TRC submittal questions and processing items. Conrad Ometo is our planning manager. During the presentation, if you've got a question or a comment, use your raise hand feature. It's down at the bottom on Zoom. Or if you're just calling in, you can use the *9 button and that will recognize you as well. Conrad will put you into the session and let you ask your question or provide your comment. And we do want that. If there's something during the session, please raise that hand and we'll stop right there and ask the question, because as I go to workshops, if I have a question, there's probably others in the group that have the same question. So we want to make sure we hit that right there and can show you, if it's a SmartGov process question, we can show you how to resolve that if we need to. And if you don't get your question answered today or addressed, or you think about it afterwards, again, please call us directly and we'll be glad to help you one-on-one with anything that you need. I also want to recognize that we have Nolan Kirkman, the Assistant City Manager for Development Services, on the call with us. Nolan is the coordinator for all of these development processes, as well as the inspections department. We do have others on the meeting from engineering and inspections that can assist during this workshop. So if it's something that you don't see maybe on the screen or it comes up, please don't hesitate to ask that question. We can get other people here to either help you on this call or help you directly afterwards. We really want to hear what your experiences have been, both positive and maybe some that have been challenging. We want to hear those so we can get to work on maybe making enhancements and changes. So when you make that next submittal, it's something that works quickly and efficiently for you and for us. We'll use this next hour as quickly and as efficiently as possible. As we get closer to 9:30, I'll step back in, see if we want to summarize or pause or start taking more questions, just see how the session goes. But we certainly are going to plan future sessions of these. We'll see how this one goes, and we'll do that based on your feedback and comments. So I want to encourage you as we go through it just to really hit that, raise your hand or let us know that you have a question, and we'll be glad to stop and address it. So Andrew, I'm gonna turn it to you and let you and Jamie walk through your process, and I'll step back in about an hour or so to keep us on schedule. Again, thank you everybody, and good morning.
Thanks, Mike. Morning, everybody. Andrew Shore, I'm the GIS administrator. As Mike said, kind of overview administrator for Smartgov, or interchangeably the BurlingtonSmart product that we branded. So I'm going to take you through a couple demonstrations, but first I want to let Jamie Lawson kick this off and provide a little bit of overview and feedback, or overview on the pre-application conference, and then I'll get into a demonstration on how to go through that pre-application request through the Smartgov portal.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Mike and Andrew. I'm going to walk through my presentation pretty quickly here, just giving a first overview on the pre-application conference meetings. Then we'll talk later on the technical review committee and the site plan process. And then, throughout this discussion, we'll be talking about how that integrates with our Smartgov portal. So just kind of taking us a couple steps backwards, our pre-application conference meetings are pretty much the first step in the application development process in Burlington, and these are established through our UDO. They are informational meetings, they're non-binding, and they're free of charge. So this really gives the development community and the property owners a first attempt of getting some feedback from city staff and other interdepartment agencies, such as NCDOT, on what some of the challenges may be for developing a site, or some of the opportunities, what the Unified Development Ordinance requires. And this is really a benefit to the development community before you even, in some cases, solicit a contractor or a consultant. You can get free advice from the city on requirements that may be needed. The meetings are typically 1 hour, and we hold them virtually through Zoom. So they're also efficient, and you don't have to leave your home or your office to participate. So through the PAC meetings, you can gauge the expectations and the requirements for our UDO, our Unified Development Ordinance, and any other development needs. I just put down here at the bottom the link to our Unified Development Ordinance. There's several pages on our city website that you can access our code. And like I said, you can get feedback, not just from the planning staff, but from other departments too. We have ongoing meetings. They're scheduled meetings with NCDOT, Burlington Transportation, Burlington Engineering, planning staff, and oftentimes economic development folks are on the call to all give you insight on your needs. The information that's gained through these PAC meetings really is useful in terms of your next steps in the development process, whether or not your application would require a site plan application that would get submitted through our Smartgov portal for the technical review committee, to review, or if the project isn't consistent with the zoning, then rezoning would be needed. But really the outcome of these meetings is to also help the development community and the property owners understand what their next steps are going to be and what type of application may be needed. And we meet with folks on a variety of different scopes in terms of size and composition, ranging from just simple retrofits of buildings to full-blown, site plan applications, conditional rezonings, you name it. Again, those requests, and Andrew will talk about this a little bit later, the requests for the PAC meetings, our pre-application conference meetings, come through our Smartgov portal. So here's some useful tips in terms of what is helpful for you to provide to us when you're applying for a PAC meeting. And these are not requirements, but the more information a property owner or developer, oftentimes we meet with realtors, you name it, the more information that you can provide to us in terms of the scope of your project, the more we can provide to you. So what type of project are you proposing? Is it a change from what exists today? Is it new construction? What's the scope of the construction? And it's also, very helpful for folks to take a look at resources that are available to them on our website in advance. Like, what's the existing zoning of the property? Does my use fit within that zoning category? Is there a different use? Am I calling my use what the city calls it? Is it permitted under one of the categories? So this just gives you kind of like a little example of, here's a clip out of City Hall where we're located here in the zoning district. We're in the CBD. And then this is the future land use designation of the area that matches up to our comprehensive plan. And then you would take a look at your unified development ordinance in terms of the permitted use table to help to determine whether or not the use that you're proposing or exists is compatible. And then there's development standards associated with it. Other useful information for us to know is, are you creating additional impervious surface, parking lots and paving? What other types of improvements do you have proposed associated with your site? Are you proposing new landscaping, new lighting, additional signage on the property? Will you be disturbing more than 1 acre? This is helpful to know in terms of stormwater requirements. Does the property have access to water and sewer? Again, you may think that some of these questions are overkill, but it's very helpful for staff to understand your expectations of what the development is. And this gives you really a sense of, some of the costs that may be associated with the costs or the benefits associated with picking a site, assigning whether or not the use is permitted in the zone, and what type of process may be needed for you moving forward. Timeline for construction. What's your expected timeline? So we have an idea of how quickly you're looking to move. Are there any other things that you would like to get out of the PAC meeting? And it's very helpful, extremely helpful for us to see, if you're proposing a new building or some changes to the site, submit just a hand drawing or a concept map that shows what your proposals are. This last slide on the PAC process is just kind of an overview of what you see when you apply for permits in the Smartgov portal that Andrew will talk about next. But depending upon the type of project and the scope of work, different type of applications may be needed after the PAC meeting. So for example, we'll talk a little later on about this one here, which is the TRC site plan and concept map application. And we'll come back to that. But you typically, out of the outcome from a PAC meeting, you'll know which type of application you would need to submit and all of the different applications are available to you through the Smartgov portal. Andrew, I'll turn it over to you to walk through a sort of tutorial on the PAC application process. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Okay. Hopefully everybody can see that screen here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not, hopefully everybody's familiar with it. This is our Smartgov, our public-facing Smartgov portal, or BurlingtonSmart as we branded it. This goes hand in hand with the back-end office that looks a little bit different from us. We won't get into that, but this is what all of you should see as a client of ours applying for permits. I just want to go over this for a little bit. Just want to point out that there's a bunch of valuable information on this page, important information in terms of what's going on in the city, some inspections section here. We got some hyperlinks. We've got information on the planning department, which had the link to the Zoom meeting, and then we have the hyperlink to our UDO. So I want to point out at the bottom, we do have some canned reports that are available to everybody, just permits, commercial permits that we've issued in the last 30, 60, 90 days. And then we also have a link to these documents at the bottom here. And it has just some quick links to what you'll need for some applications for TRC, the owner signature page, environmental review certificate. And one thing I really want to point out we've added here is this permit processing state, kind of a reference sheet for you. We'll get into this a little bit more with the TRC application, but this is kind of what you're going to see as an applicant plan for permits. You'll see these processing states. Kind of what you'll see is the status names, and then kind of what our business rules are for each one of those states. And so whether it's TRC or development permits, what we'll get into in another session is it'll cycle through each one of these states. Anytime you move to a page to get back to where you were, you can either hit the back button and click on the logo, will take you back to the home page, or you can click on the home page or on the home button. So in order to apply for a PAC meeting or request a PAC meeting, you're simply going to go into your portal. And you'll see the apply button. Simply select your category, which is going to be the planning and zoning department. And then you get the list of permits that are available through the planning department. So what we're going to look for is this pre-application conference. And you'll notice enhancement to the portal is this little blue information button. If you click on that, you'll get a little pop-up box giving you additional information. Enhancement that we're looking for is actually to have some hyperlinks here for you to get to any forms or anything you need that you'll be required for your permit that you're applying for. So I click on that next button. It's always going to ask you for a parcel or an address. System is based on the parcel information. So I'm just going to, as you start to type, it's going to give you this drop down list. You need to pick from this list. If you try to enter the complete address, the system won't take it. It actually has to be selected from this drop down list with the blue writing. Your websites might have, your browser might be trying to help you, as Google likes to do, and it might have an additional drop down box that is covering these. I've turned mine off. but you want to try and select the one with the blue lettering. Just hit save and continue here. And we get this little welcome page that's going to give you information on how to manage your project. So it's going to tell you all the steps that are required to get your application completed. So we'll just click get started to get going. So this is the new overview of your permit, and it's kind of got these helpful steps. All of these steps are partitioned out, and it's going to give you the status of what state this is in. These all need to be done in order to be able to submit your application. It'll be grayed out until all of these are required. So and I want to kind of point out at the top, you've got your application number and your current status. So we see that it's not submitted. And then in the upper right, any estimated fees. Like Jamie said, for the pack, there'll be no fees for this. So the first one that comes out is this project. Please give your project a name. So I'll just kind of fill it in and kind of give us a description of what you're looking for. This is a and just hit save that. This just gives us a better understanding of what the project is, rather than just trying to run it off of an address. One thing I do want to point out here is the difference between the contacts and the contractors. For the Smartgov system, contractor is anybody who has a license. So for a PAC meeting, we don't really need a contractor. You can just kind of click on this we haven't hired a contractor for this project button, and it will change the status from not complete to complete for you. If you do need to add a contact, so everybody who is part of the system is a contact, unless you have a license, on the back end, we'll switch you to a contractor. If there's somebody that's not in here that you want to be part of your project, you can simply add them. So it's going to list me as the submitter, and the parcel that I selected is going to be the owner of record. So to add a contact, I'll just pick one here. So as you type, you saw it'll like the address, it'll auto populate or try and suggest some contacts for you. I'll add them in there as the project engineer, give them portal access if you want. Add them to my permit, and they'll show up. If you don't want them, you can simply remove them. Again, like Jamie said, we'd like to have as much detail as possible as you can. You notice some of these little asterisks, red asterisks that are on these permits. These are required steps. So it won't let you actually proceed until there's information in these boxes. So I'll just say, save that. And then the last step is your permit submittals. Again, you'll see some of our permits will have some of this helpful information that pops up. You'll see that the red asterisk is anything that's required for the application. There may be some things that are required, but not at initial submittal. And so to upload the required site plan or for the submittal. Let's come into the add files. Simply select and then upload. And then once you get the little green check, go ahead and close. And it will show that you have one file. Once all the requirements have met, you'll see everything on the right-hand side says done. At the bottom, you're at this little message says that your application has been complete, and the submit application button becomes active. You simply click on the submit application button. And it gets back to you, and you'll get this little message here that says the planning department will contact you to schedule the PAC meeting. And the status will be pending. That will notify us, or Jamie, through the back office part of the Smartgov, that your application has been submitted, and we'll review that application and get in touch with you to schedule that meeting. That is.
Andrew, can we pause right there and just see if Conrad has any raised hands or if anyone has any questions? We can always come back. We can always come back to it if we need to. But that's what takes you to the beginning of the PAC meeting that Jamie spoke about. So. Okay.
Yeah, Mike, I'm not seeing any folks with raise hand feature. If you're calling in, use the *9 feature. But I don't see anyone posing any questions in the chat or have their hands raised in the participants log. So I think we're ready to move on to the next.
So
thank you.
Next, we'll kind of pass it back over to Jamie to kind of give an overview of TRC process, and I'll be back to do a little demo on submitting for TRC.
All right, thanks. Can everyone see my screen again that has the PowerPoint?
Yes.
All right, let's see. All right, so now we're going to just talk about the technical review committee process, which is oftentimes your next step after you've had the PAC meeting. And the technical review committee will review site plan applications, conditional rezoning requests, rezonings associated with a planned development. Again, this process is established through our Unified Development Ordinance. Different than the PAC meetings, this is a formal review of your application, and it is an internal review. Oftentimes we get asked the question, when is the PAC, or when is the TRC meeting? When can I attend? These are internal staff review meetings. So staff meets to review your application. There's about 15 different departments who review them, all for consistency with the city's Unified Development Ordinance and other standards associated with them. There are some applications that are exempt from TRC, and that falls under the UDO section 2.4S. Again, the requests for the PACs and the TRCs are received through the Smartgov portal. So we don't accept any hard copies. Everything is digital. And in accordance with our UDO, all applications that are deemed complete would be distributed. So staff reviews the applications once they come in for all of the different items, and I'll go through that briefly to make sure it's complete, and then it gets distributed. There's also application payment and fee that's required. And if you submit multiple applications or come back for different revisions, there's additional fees. Technically, under the UDO, staff has 5 business days to review an application to determine whether it's complete or incomplete. And we will issue comments and notes to determine, not to determine, but to inform the applicant what is additionally needed to make the application complete. This information is all on our website too. So if you go to the planning department's website under current planning, you'll see all of the information for the PAC meetings that I've described, as well as the technical review committee application requirements, the deadlines, the dates that the TRC meets. So we try to keep this all open and transparent, so you know when we're meeting and what the expectations are. But this gives you an idea if you were submitting a full-blown site plan, let's say for new commercial development, what would be required, and building, let's see, applications, the owner's consent, the application fee, site plan. There's also links on our website to the plan submission standards, building elevations to determine, generally for new construction where you're talking about commercial development or multifamily residential, so that we can help determine whether or not you meet the design standards. Floor plans are helpful, so we can see what's going on inside, landscape plans, lighting plans. This gives you just a general spectrum of all of the different things that would be needed. And we'll talk briefly in a couple minutes about useful tips, but it is helpful for staff to receive the applications when they come in and uploaded to Smartgov all as one PDF, as opposed to individual multiple plan sheets. So once the application is complete, it's submitted to the TRC for review. The TRC meets twice a month, every other week. And then once they review the application, comments are actually put on a plan. So you'll get back comments or get back plans with markups actually on the plan set to address. So typically we also try to reference the UDO sections, so you can see specifically what we're referring to if there's something that needs to be adjusted or it's inconsistent. Resubmittals. So once you receive the deficiency report, you can download that and then modify your plans and resubmit them to go back through the TRC review process. Resubmittals, there's no deadline. You can submit them at any time. They will just then get placed on the next TRC meeting agenda. And then there are, this just gives you kind of an overview going into and wrapping up 2021 and into 22, the meeting dates of when the TRC meets and some of our application deadlines and completeness deadlines. As many of you know, staff works with the applicants and development community as much as possible. We want to get your projects moving. We want to keep them rolling. So if there's a time crunch or there's a really time sensitive project, please let us know and we'll work with you to get things as moving as quickly as possible. If there's something that's missing in your application, we'll still most oftentimes have it go through the TRC process as well. It's just important to know that once you submit all of your documents into our portal and they're distributed out to all of the different review staff members, you can't go back in and upload things. So that's one of the questions that we get asked. And I do see a hand raised there for Jason DeBoer. So I'm not sure at this point if you wanted to stop, we can stop and take a question. Jason, go ahead.
Hey, I was just wanting to say that, is there a way that we could be notified via email when things have been accepted, especially when you'll probably get further on into the permits and inspections? I'm not receiving any kind of notification that an inspection passed or failed or anything like that. And I was just curious about the same going with the TRC, approvals and that kind of thing.
Yeah, Jason, so the system should send you an email. It won't send you an email on the results of anything, but it'll send an email saying that the status of your permit has changed. If you're not getting those, I can get with you a little bit later and check to see if some of the your email notifications are on for specific permits. I can kind of walk through that if we have time at the end after we go through the TRC permit.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not receiving that, but that would be helpful. Is there any way that we could receive like notifications, not only notifications, but results from inspections via email?
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more in another session dealing with inspections, but that is a product enhancement that our vendor is working on to get email and text results of permits and applications.
That would be great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else that has questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands raised at this point, so I'm going to continue on. And part of the reason why we're holding these seminars is to get feedback from the development community on things that we can do to enhance our processes and the Smartgov portal. So we're always open to receiving feedback. We want to make it easier for you. We want to make it easier for us, per se, too. So feel free to, ask questions, give us your feedback. We would love to hear it. So just some useful tips when you're going through the technical review committee process. Please make sure to include, and this is sort of an after the TRC, I guess, but if you're going from TRC directly into the inspections portal or any other permit process that may be needed, it is always, always, always helpful to upload the approved TRC plans. I will send out to applicants a letter that says congratulations, you have received TRC approval. Here is the signed and stamped plan set. It is extremely helpful to upload that plan set that has the city stamp and signature as part of your future permits because planning staff and other staff will review your application moving forward, but we don't know if any changes were made, if modifications were occurred. It streamlines the process 100% if you upload the plans that were approved by the city. So we know that that's what the TRC approved, as opposed to other plans that we've got to go back through and see what the modifications were, or if they were consistent with what the TRC approved, so on and so forth. So I guess I can't emphasize that enough. And just keep in mind that the other permits may not be approved until you get TRC approval. So you can certainly apply for building permits, electrical permits, any other types of permits that you want to start to expedite, but oftentimes they will not get approved until the TRC application has been approved. I already mentioned consolidating the PDFs into one when uploading the document. Do not include signage as part of your TRC site plan submittal application. Signage is reviewed separately. So instead of us having to go through every set of sheets to mark up, remove signage, just don't include it on your site plan. And I mentioned this too, but once you have uploaded your documents and the city staff has checked them out, and Andrew can talk more about that process, but we essentially have to check your plans out and they get distributed to all of the reviewers. you can't go back in and upload something. Let us know if you need to, or there's some sort of modification. We'll try to, we'll do our best to get the updated plans to the reviewers, but you won't be able to do that through the system. This last slide just gives you some additional resources and reference documents to take a look at when you're preparing a site plan application, our unified development ordinance or zoning ordinance, the comprehensive plan for the city, which is called Destination Burlington. And on the website, there's links to all of these. Our downtown master plan, the recreation and parks master plan, the greenway plan, pedestrian plan, and the draft Maple Avenue corridor plan. Those are all helpful to see whether or not there needs to be other things incorporated as part of your site plan when you're submitting. And at the bottom are all of the staff contacts and email addresses. Essentially, our email is our first initial and our last name at burlingtonnc.gov, but there's various other planning staff. There's a couple of them on the call too. Janie Phelps, she does our development review, and Andy Lester, he's our long range planner, as well as Conrad, myself, and I've just included the other people in our team directly, Mike Nunn, and our senior administrative assistant, Beverly Smith. And I've also included, if you have technical issues regarding Smartgov, Andrew is our go-to person. He is extremely helpful to us staff, and I know he's worked with a number of you guys as well on your questions throughout the Smartgov process. And so that, I think I'll turn it back over to Andrew, who's going to walk through the TRC process, and then at the end we'll ask for additional comments and questions and feedback. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Andrew.
So we're back at the portal. One thing I wanted to mention, if you really feel the need, Smartgov also supports a bunch of different languages. So just wanted to point that out. If you ever felt the need of submitting in Hebrew, it's available for you. So back at the portal, you can come into to apply again, same steps. Do you want to point out is your application little card on the right hand side will show your active permits. So you can see the pre-application that I applied for earlier is there. As Jamie goes through and gets it scheduled, these status will change. This is just a little reference there for you. So for the TRC process, again, you're going to come into and apply online. Again, I'm going to select my category for planning and zoning. And you have three options. Really, you have the TRC plan development, the TRC preliminary plat application, and the TRC site plan or concept plan application. Again, the little blue eye, for any TRC project that's going to come through is going to require a pre-application conference. So I'm going to select a little site plan demonstration. Again, I'm going to ask for the address. see it auto populates again. Don't have to type in the complete address. Now, if there isn't an address, if it's a vacant property that you're doing, you can contact myself or Dan Costanza in the GIS office to try and get an address. But you can also use the 10-digit GPIN number. So you can either go to one of our websites or to the county GIS website to get that 10-digit and enter the 10-digit PIN number if an address does not exist for that property. Yes, the joys of live demos. Same thing, you get the little welcome page to manage your project. I'm going to run you through an overview of the steps that are required for your application to be submitted. Again, you got the quick help kind of showing the different statuses of each step that's required, your permit number and your current status. Again, going to have estimated fees until you've entered some of the detailed questions for the project. So again, we ask for a project name. Yeah. A brief description of what it is. Again, contacts and the contractors, again, don't necessarily need a contractor. These are people who are licensed through the state. So the permit details is, again, I'll point out anything with a little asterisk is required. Very helpful, as much information that you can provide for us. We'll call this the site plan. You can see this is not required. If you do know the additional parcels, if your project's covering multiple parcels, to add those would be helpful. Under the project, it's already capturing the main parcel that you've applied under. So these are just for any additional parcels that might be part of your project. It's going to ask a couple other questions. If it's part of a special use permit, I'll just quickly go through these and answer them. Did I have a pre-application conference? You should have. So say yes, and I'll save that. Again, it changes the status to done. Now, for permit submittals, what we're asking for is for 3 required submittals. You'll see these hyperlinks. Anything in blue, it provides a hyperlink. So we've provided the hyperlink to the environmental review certificate. Again, you can save that, print it out, fill it in, scan it, and then upload it once it's filled out. The signature page for the property owners is, again, there's a hyperlink there for you. Just a quick, easy access to the documents for you. And then on the site plan, it has the checklist of what's required for site plans. It's just a helpful reference for you. Again, you can see that the little red asterisk, all 3 of those are required. So simply come over here to the upload hyperlink. add my files. And again, this is, we prefer on the site plan to have all those consolidated, the building elevation, the landscape plans, things like that into the one site plan. For the environmental reviews, just a separate submittal. Please separate that from your site plan. Just makes it a little bit easier for us for staff to go through. You'll get these little messages that say it's been submitted. Once it's uploaded, you'll see a little green check. Again, estimated fees. Didn't get to it before, but again, the submittal button would be grayed out until you've satisfied all the requirements. Each one of these sections has information in there for you. It's going to give you the what the balance is for your permit fees. And this is just the approval steps. So these are all the reviewers that are part of the technical review committee. As we go through our reviews on your projects, these statuses will change for you. So this might be a helpful section just to keep an eye on. Right, again, your submittals. Before, I just kind of reiterate to go through and make sure that anything that you have, you can upload another document before you submit if you've forgotten a part of your original submittal, but you can only do that up until the time that you've clicked that submit button.
And Andrew, it looks like you can also delete them there too if you needed to replace something, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, okay. You can make adjustments through the screen, so I can delete. I'll point out, but I'll get to it in a little bit after review. This is a good place to keep coming back to while the review is going on. Any markup files that we provide after our review, our technical review meetings, will show up in this markup file, and there'll be a deficiency report that shows up too. So 99% of the comments from staff will be in the markup file, and the deficiency report will kind of give a summary of what was deemed deficient. But your main go-to should be the markup file, and I'll show you that in just a little bit.
Is there any questions now, Jamie? I have one. Could you speak, Jamie, to why the submittal process? I've been asked this myself. Why we can't make midterm changes or interim changes because of the review process? Can you speak to that a little bit about the ability to go back in there and just keep submitting files when things are changed, what it does to the review process?
Well, it can delay the review process. Essentially, if we get iteration after iteration after iteration, not only does it confuse us a little bit, but it could delay the reviews. So it does make it more complicated if we receive the plans that we feel are the applicant's plans, send those out for review, and then receive different versions after that. There are some exceptions where there might be some tweaking to, like, let's say a lighting plan that staff's working with the applicant on separately, or some minor revisions to other plans. But the site plan, once we receive it, because of all of the different agencies that are reviewing it, like I said, and you saw the page that kind of lists all of the different review entities, it makes it hard for us to go back and say to, the list of people, hey, we've got another modification, kind of go back and take a look at this new plan. We can, I send out emails to the entire TRC and we can let folks know, hey, there may be some tweaks to it, but take a look at the plans that you've received. So we do try to assist if there's some modifications that way, but we really try to keep things moving, and changes mid-cycle may occur, either the application to be pulled from the TRC, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep it going, or it may, or it may just delay the review process. Typically, our TRC meets on Thursday mornings, and I often like to get the deficiency reports out either that same day or Fridays. If there's if the project has some of the issues that we're talking about, it may also delay our ability to get the comments to you in an efficient manner. So we just let us know if there's something that needs modifications, and we can make a determination. But like Andrew said, and I said earlier, once you've hit submit, we're assuming that the plans that you have submitted are what you want us to review.
And just on the technical side of that is, once you hit submit and we check the projects out, it's hard for us to add revisions back into that review process once the plans have checked out. So if there are any changes that we need, it can be done in the second cycle. So we'll kind of touch on that here in a second. So I'm going to submit my application.
Andrew, we're right at 9:30.
Yep.
We'll keep going, but I just want everybody, we'll head towards wrapping up here shortly.
So so again, you'll see the status comes in as pending. If you reference back to the permitting process, the pending is that it's been received, your permit's been created, and what we're doing is it's in initial review, and that pending state is going to make sure that all of your submittals are there. We've generated the fees, and we've checked it out for review. So you'll see the pay online. This is the production portal that we're in. So you can go ahead and pay online. It'll take you to our third-party vendor to pay. So I'll go back to the permit. So you're gonna kind of keep an eye on that, on the pending piece. At this point, we'll review the application, submit it out to our TRC committee for review. So at this point, it's a waiting game for you until we finish that TRC. So what happens after TRC reviews, and there's a deficiency report. So got one of those right here. So you'll see on your applications the project number and your status. So this is one that Jamie and I have gone through. In reality, this has been through a TRC. And what you'll see is this permit submittals. Your status is the application been returned, and now we've got not complete for your submittals. So you'll see that the status is pending and which version you're in. So that's a kind of a key one to keep an eye on is which version. You'll see that the environmental review certificate was approved, and the signature page is still in review with version 1. So to resubmit your files, you'll see the efficient. Again, this kind of information section right here, and the hyperlink to the deficiency report. You'll see that multiple times. So I'll just open the deficiency report up. Like I said, like we mentioned earlier, all comments will be on the plan, but that is just a requirement for our system to generate that deficiency report. So to resubmit your second plans, and you'll click on that on just that hyperlink where it says 0 files right here. So I'll click on the 0 files to upload. Again, you'll see the markup file. So I've opened that up. You'll see the plan and the comment boxes that staff will provide on the plan. So just to re-upload, what we'll do here is you'll see which version, which is pending. So I'm going to upload. Again, select your files. Just grab another file. Upload it. And now you'll see the second file that you submitted, that it's pending. The date it was submitted, and it also is in your list here. And another link to the deficiency report, which is just kind of a summary of what the comments are on the plan. But your main markup file is going to be the plan itself. All comments should be listed on the markup file. So once it's been uploaded, I'll return to my permit. And at this point in the back office, Jamie will get an email that new plans have been submitted for this TRC project. Jamie will look at it, and the status will change that revisions have been received. So as the cycle goes through the next review, again, we'll just keep coming back to your applications. To check on the statuses. But you also should receive emails from us that from the PAC and TRC process that from Jamie that the status of change and along with keeping an eye on your portal, what the status of your projects are. So this was hopefully helpful for the PAC and TRC process. Again, with some particular TRC projects, you'll also have a concurrent review with building inspections on your building plans, and that's something that we'll review in another session, in another upcoming session here shortly. But we'll let you know when that. We'll do the same thing. We'll send out an email to most of our clients who submit those building plans and kind of run through a similar Zoom meeting for those permits.
Comrade, do you see any other hands or comments in the chat box?
Mike, I don't see any folks with their hands raised or no comments in the chat box.
Andrew, can you take a couple of minutes if those that want to stay on the one question we had about the email notifications, that might be helpful.
Yeah, so I was going to touch that. So Jason, from Jason's question about the emails, up here under your login name, if you click on your name and then go to your account, you have this ability to manage your email notifications. If you just click on that hyperlink, these are, you can subscribe or unsubscribe to any and all permits, applications. We have licenses. We're not currently using the licenses for anything, but for permits, including inspections and planning, you can turn on all these notifications if you want. I've got them all turned on just to kind of monitor, and I think I have over 14,000 emails in a folder somewhere. So,
all right, thank you for showing that. So that's
welcome.
under your account. Okay.
Yes. One thing. One thing I wanted, paying online. If you ever get an item of you can't reach our vendor to pay online. One quick tip is if you come into the contact section here and click on edit, all these fields need to be filled out with something. So none of these fields can be left blank. Once they're all filled in, then it'll allow you to get to the merchant vendor to pay online. That's a requirement from our merchant vendor that all those fields have to be filled in. It's not a city or Smartgov issue. That's a requirement from our merchant vendor. So.
Jamie, did you have?
And I was just going to say, some of you who are on the call use this system regularly, so you may have created an account, and go back in and make sure your email addresses are accurate. Sometimes things have changed, and so there's the ability, Andrew, where you were in the preferences to change your email address if you need to also, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You can edit.
And you can add another email address too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Good pointers. Anyone else have anything, any questions we can address? Again, like I said, you can put it in the chat. You can give us a call afterwards. We're always available to go into more details on this. Also, remember to check the city website. There's if you haven't been there lately, check that out on the planning page. There's a lot of more related information. It can provide resources to you and your staff. And remember, this is going to be posted as well on the city website under planning, so you can look at it again for any of these demonstration screenshots or anything you want to use for yourself or your staff. And then, as we mentioned, we're going to plan and have additional Zoom sessions on inspections and the building permit process. And we're also going to have a Zoom session that's focused on the Unified Development Ordinance itself, specifically some popular chapters and sections out of that. Will help you, and we'll again, just base that on your feedback as we work through that. So we're hoping to use these as more outreach and engagement. We're always here again on the phone, one-on-one sessions in the office. We can have a Zoom or team session with maybe just there's folks in your office that use the Smartgov or BurlingtonSmart or doing things with the UDO. We'll be glad to set that up as well. So please just let us know what works for you, what works best, and we'll be glad to tailor something to help you get your development process going, and also make it easier for us all to work together, and give the best customer service that we can. So stay tuned for those. Contact us with questions. I want to thank our staff today for putting the time into this to present this to you. hope it did spark maybe some other questions and some things you want to know more about. So please let us know, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll sign off for now. Thanks again for joining us, and let us know how we can help you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.